All right, here we go. This one's going to be a 357 SIG versus 10mm test. Today we have some Underwood ammo to try out. So for the 357 SIG, that one is our 125 grain Gold Dot. That's what that one looks like. Does have your nickel plated brass. That one's rated at 1475 feet per second. And for 10mm, that one is the 165 grain Gold Dot. Also nickel plated brass, and that was rated at 1400 feet per second. So we'll see how close we come today. So for the 357 SIG, we are going to be using our Glock 32. That one does have a 4-inch barrel. And for our 10mm, we're going to be using our brand new Glock 29. That one has a 3.78-inch barrel. So pretty close in comparison. So we'll be going through our gel. That is a 10% block. Do you have our catch block behind that? So a total of 22 inches of gel. Our 4 layers of cotton t-shirt on the front. Like always, we'll set up our chronograph so we can hopefully pick up those impact velocities. So let's set up and see how these rounds do head to head. First one up will be that 357 SIG. All right, we're stepping back to 15 feet. All right, let's see how we did on that one. So it looks like our impact velocity on that one was 1,513 feet per second. So really good to see there. Those ones are rated at 1475. So definitely quite a bit more. And it's weird because when I do test this out of the full size, we actually get lower numbers. So maybe it's just optimized for that, 4-inch barrel. But awesome to see those numbers there. All right, and there is that entry. So we got a perfect hit on that, and you can see right down in that cavity. Thing did a lot of damage, and we do have a huge star pattern so far. So let's check it out from the top. Oh yeah, check that out. That is a huge cut going through. Perfect spiral cuts. Carrying quite a bit of that energy most of the way through that block, and then we did actually make it into that second block. So let's see what kind of stretch we got on this one. It actually does look like we did get a blowout too. So quite a bit of damage. So let's see at our widest spot here. We are right at about 3 inches on that. So not too bad at all. So let's check it out from the side. And same thing from the side. Check that out. So as soon as that thing came in, we pretty much got immediate expansion, dumping all kinds of energy. Huge spiral cuts going through. Pretty much about 3/4 of the way through that block. It did start to settle down a little bit, and then you can see that round resting down in there. But man, check that out. That is a lot of damage so far. And let's see what kind of measurement we have from the side. So from the side, we are just over 2 3/4 inches. So not as much from the side, but still pretty good. So like always, we'll cut these open here at the end so we can get our cross sections and all that good stuff. But let's see where that round is resting. You can see it actually did go about an inch further than where it's resting, and then it did come back a little bit. But we're going to measure it at its leading edge, and that is 2.5 inches. So a total of 13.5 inches of total penetration on that. If we do count all the way out here, we are right at 3.5, so an inch further. So then we made it 14.5 inches of total penetration. So however you want to take it, but not too bad at all. So let's set up for that 10mm and see how that one does. All right, we're stepping back to 15 feet. All right, let's see what we did on that one. So it looks like our impact velocity on that one was 1,245 feet per second. So definitely quite a bit lower than that advertised, but still not too bad at all. So I have tested this one in the past, but it was out of the full size, and we pretty much got right as advertised. So you got quite a bit of a drop out of that shorter barrel, but still not too bad. So there is that entry. Looks like we got a really good hit on this one, and same as the last, you can see right down in there, but that one did have a huge hollow point cavity, so it's taking some of that gel with it, and there's a huge star pattern so far. So let's check it out from the top. Oh yeah, check that out. That is crazy. So pretty interesting here that number was lower, but we actually got more damage going through. So you could see quite a big blowout going over it. Pretty much looks like it kind of combined with that 357 SIG. So a ton of damage going through. Pretty much, I don't know, let's see. I guess it carried about 3/4 of the way, and then it did start to settle down. And then you can actually see that round, it barely made it into that second block. So we got a lot less penetration on that one, but definitely quite a bit more damage there. So let's see what kind of measurement we have at our widest spot. So we are right at 4 inches on this. So pretty much a whole inch wider, excuse me, than that 357 SIG. So pretty good there. And let's see from the side. So hopefully you guys are seeing this, but same thing from the side. So it looks like as soon as this one came in, pretty much immediate expansion, started to open up. You can see those nice spiral cuts going all the way through, and it pretty much carried that energy the whole way. Maybe that last inch or so it started to settle down, and then that round is resting in that second block, but just barely. So let's see at our widest point on this one from the side. It's a little bit tougher to measure. We're about 2 3/4, so quite a bit less from the side than the top, but not too bad. And then this one, let's see, we made it about 3/4 of an inch, so 11 3/4 inches of total penetration on that. So really not too much compared to that 357 SIG, but still pretty good. And let's check these out one more time from the top. So the one on the right is that 357 SIG, one on the left is that 10mm. So you can see pretty much as soon as that one came in, started opening up, got some perfect spiral cuts going all the way through, and then started to settle down a little bit towards the end, and then it did make it into that second block. It is that round there on that top. And that 10mm, same thing, both of them got expansion as soon as they came in. This one's dumping a ton of energy so far. Huge damage in that block, and it did start to settle down, and then we barely made it into that second one. So let's pull these rounds and see what they look like. All right, check these things out. They both got some awesome expansion. So the one on the right is that 357 SIG, one on the left is that 10mm. So here is that 357 SIG, and that one did absolutely perfect. Very, very uniform, picture perfect expansion, just like they always do. Check that thing out. Perfect, perfect. And sadly, Underwood isn't loading these right now at the moment, so they are pretty tough to get your hands on. So hopefully they do come back here in the future, but definitely one nasty round. And it's awesome to see those numbers coming out of it too. And here is that 10mm. Same thing with this one. Not as uniform, but definitely opened up quite a bit more. You can see a couple of those petals kind of kicked out a little bit more than the rest, but still really good. And there's quite a bit of gel in both of these. We'll rinse them before our still shots and all that, but definitely some pretty awesome expansion on that one as well. So I'll show them one time from the bottom. So one on the right is that 357 SIG, one on the left is that 10mm. And last time from the top. So like I said, I will do our screenshots and slow-mo and all that good stuff here at the end, but there we go, guys. That one was 357 SIG versus 10mm. Thanks for watching. All right, and here's that cross section for that 357 SIG. So you can see this one has some massive splitting going on. Really, really big cuts going on down in there. Really nice spiral pattern. I did remeasure both of these sides, and we are right at 3.5 inches. So that thing was moving out pretty good, you know, over 1,500 feet per second. So it's definitely good to see those numbers on that one. So let's cut it open. All right, so here's after being cut. So this bottom is the right, this top is the left. So you can see pretty much as soon as this one came in, probably an 1/8 inch, started to open up and just do all kinds of damage. We have some really, really big splits going on. That nice distinct pattern those gold dots usually do. You can see that cotton t-shirt down in there, but just all the way through, really, really clean cuts. but a massive amount of damage. And same on this other side. You can see right where it came in, started to parachute open immediately, dumping a little bit of that cotton t-shirt, and you can see that stretch going all the way through. But same thing on this side, just some really, really deep cuts. Definitely one nasty round. And like I said, that thing was moving along pretty darn good. But pretty impressive there, especially for that 4-inch. Like I said before, you know, when I tested out that 4.5-inch, it almost seems like it slows it down a little bit. So the powder that they're using in some of those loads are probably super quick burning. So it actually, you know, isn't as good in the longer barrel. But there we go. There was that last angle. Definitely some pretty big cuts. So there we go. That one was at 125 grain Gold Dot, loaded by Underwood. All right, and here's that cross section for that 10mm. So you can see this one has some pretty big splitting going on. Not as a distinct star cut as the last one, but definitely some really big cuts. I did remeasure these, and they're right at 4 inches at the peak and about 3.5, kind of averaging. So definitely did quite a bit of damage. Even though it wasn't moving the fastest out of that short barrel, it was still doing some pretty good damage. So let's cut it open. All right, so here's after being cut. So this bottom is the right, this top is the left side. So you can see pretty much like that last one, as soon as it came in, right around that 1/8 inch mark, started to open up. There's really, really small pieces of lead in there, just little tiny fragments. I don't know if you guys are able to see that, but really, really small fragments. And this one drug in a ton of that cotton t-shirt. It definitely had a lot wider hollow point than that SIG. Those SIGs are usually pretty shallow, but yeah, it definitely did quite a bit of damage. Some really, really big splits going on. Huge stretch going all the way through. And same thing on this top side. Came in, started to parachute open, and just a massive stretch going all the way through. But same thing on this side. You can see a little bit more of that lead fragmentation going on. A little bit more of that cotton t-shirt, but just a really jumbled mess in there. And that thing opened up pretty darn good too. Really, really wide. But definitely impressive for that one. And here's one more quick angle. You can see it right down in there. Nice big cuts going on. But there we go, guys. That one was at 165 grain Gold Dot, loaded by Underwood.